Chickadee chick, chickadee check, y'all. What up, y'all? So, if you haven't noticed, wait, maybe you haven't noticed, but that's Sydney Sweeney in the background. Anybody insulted? Not only was I not insulted, but I never heard of Sydney Sweeney. No clue. Not a clue of who this person was. Still don't really know. But there was a controversy going on. She was taking her pants off or something on a commercial. Was that why we were upset? I don't exactly know why we're upset. I don't know why anybody gets upset about anything. It's like we live in a weird world where either you get upset about anything or generally nobody cares about anything. There's like no middle ground. Either you're just upset about stuff every single day, everything's insulting, and you're insulted that no one's insulted by what you're insulted by. Or where I live, nobody cares about anything. And that translates into the market. And if you came in this morning and you saw, I don't know if you guys were watching me live on the Dennis Dick, Joel Elconin pre-market prep show. Right there, they had me on as the economic data came out. And I said, no one's going to care. And then next thing you know, the market went down. I'm like, okay, so what? We got a 2.5 point sell-off on a $580 stock. The Qs I'm talking about. So you're telling me that we care that we're pulling back 2.5 points on a 580 product that just went from basically it was lower than 402. If you remember that morning, we're at 398. So 398 to 583. And all you're going to muster is a 2.5 point pullback. I'm buying. And I said by 1030, by 1028, we'll be green. But more importantly, one of the rules that I live by as the most bullish bear there is that has been emotionally, physically, and monetarily scarred by trading. I've never blown an account up long. I've never blown up an account buying stocks. They can only go to zero. My 4 worst trades of my entire life, well, if you want to include the 5th, which is officially the worst, was shorting UVXY, but that was my fault. Over leveraged, and I went away to, I wasn't paying attention, and all hell broke loose in August of last year. Remember that? We got to tell that story one more time. Me and Jeff should get together and tell our horror stories about shorting UVXY because it's a guaranteed trade. The only way to ruin it is going over leveraged, and that's kind of what he did once and I did once also, and it got really ugly. And of course, the guy from the margin department at Schwab didn't want to hear it. My only margin call in my entire life was getting forced to cover UVXY. And I'll never forget the tone of that guy's voice. I was like, this is a reversion. It's a reverting product. Within 5 days, it'll probably be back to where it came from. And he said, sure it will. And then he just waited for me to break. I was like, all right, so I guess I have to cover some of this. And he's like, yeah, please be done by the end of the day. And they forced me to cover. I was like, can I hold the last couple of thousand? He's like, no, we need you out because there's something about the margin department doesn't want anybody involved. They don't want to take any risk. I was like, you could have told me that before I put on 370 naked contracts. So that went horribly wrong. But seriously, I've never blown up an account shorting stocks. UVXY doesn't count. I mean, long stocks. But let me show you the attitude that I have. And again, as the most bullish bear in ever, right? It's because of me losing so much money, trying to stay short, trying to outsmart the market, and being a hero. Being the guy that I can make money when other people are losing money. And that's kind of why the bears like what they do. They want to be those people. They want to be the ones. And again, I want to be the one that makes money shorting because it puts my skills to good use because I know what I'm doing, right? But because I know what I'm doing, I know that shorting for some reason in 2025 is basically illegal since April 9th. They have basically made it illegal. And then if it wasn't officially illegal on April 9th, on May 12th, they said, now you have no permission. Please don't short the market. We may never go down ever again. And since May 12th, I've been what we call not just irrationally exuberant, psychotically, irrationally, bullishly exuberant. And it's paying. And I'm not switching yet. So this morning, when I saw them selling off on economic data, markets don't correct and crash on economic data. You know why? Because if anybody really cared about that number, we'd have had been going down already, because the data is already out there. Somebody already knows the data. The reaction is just a bunch of bullshit. So my default is to call bullshit, right? And again, listen, the shorts are getting paid right now. I'll explain why. My friend, the Minotaur, he's been shorting this market all day, and he's getting paid. It's not like you couldn't have got paid. I joined in on the short over here with the head and shoulder pattern. My man just shorted at the orange line. If you don't know what my lines on the chart, I'll explain. Let me get rid of the red lines, by the way, because those are just where I did my trades, and now I'm not in anything. Hang on a second, make sure these guys are hearing me. Hey, chickadee check, you guys hear me in the room? I forgot I needed to put the other microphone on. I'm on the YouTube right now. Hello. So let's go. So if I'm going to go shorting a market in a market that never goes down, I better really prepare myself and understand market mechanics, which I do. But right now, my default is to just wait for the shorts to be forced to cover and then join in on that move, because that move happens every day. And when does that move happen? After we fake out, shake out, and break out. Because the faux show bro, as you know, is my favorite trade. The faux show bro traps new shorters and convinces the longs that, oh man, maybe we are going down. And then we don't. So now you've got both parties on the wrong side of the market. And let's give it up for the Minotaur, who's short the Qs right now. I hope you make money on it. I'm rooting for you. But normally, right, you get the faux show bro and you break out. Now, the reason that I'm still doing this after 30 years, after getting my ass kicked for quite some time, is since 2012, I just use VWAP exclusively. Nothing else on my chart except where I believe pivot points and prices where I'm trading the stock and placing stops. So when I saw the market sell off on economic data, I laughed. I was like, what time green? What time green? Right? Because we don't go down on economic data. That's just it's a visceral reaction, and you know it's going to be corrected, right? So let me use that word right there. You don't know. Nobody knows. It's a woozy, it's a wazi, it's a fugazi, it's a falazi, right? Nobody knows anything, right? That's two movies. But what you do know is that when stocks, especially the QQQ that really doesn't ever want to go down, when it breaks back over VWAP and a pivot point, usually the next phase is the VWAP retracement to prior day VWAP, which was the orange line, and then the pre-market spot where we had the sell-off start in the first place. So instead of being a nudnik, it's a technical term, instead of being a nudnik thinking that you're going to be some hero and, oh, this is the day the market corrects, on economic data. Now, stick to the default that the shorts are going to inevitably lose, and you're going to be the guy or the person or the it, or whatever you feel like calling yourself today. You're going to be the person that takes their money because they don't know what they're doing. We do. And we understand that sell off, rally, never breaks a new low. Test the VWAP, doesn't break another new low. These are bullish indications already, but the rejection at the VWAP is still bearish until it breaks over the VWAP. Then it rallies, it tests that high. Then this candle searches out the weak hands, as they call them, right? But in that moment right there, you created another fake out. So let's say the longs finally bought it, starts to work, rolls over, and it breaks prior candle, then back above the VWAP in that same candle. right? So fake out, shake out. So what were we doing? We're buying the Qs right there. Now, if and when we are wrong about this trade, eventually it's going to not roll. It's going to one day it's going to pop and then roll and rip down. And what's lovely about the trade, and I don't use the word lovely all the time. What's lovely about the trade and wonderful is that let's say we are wrong and we're buying this break. The bottoms of the fake out and the shakeout are your stops. So you are what? You are limiting your risk, understanding what the risk is, and considering we've seen blue line to orange line work now for over a decade, your reward is, and again, if you're buying a stock in by default, your reward is unlimited. But let's just call the reward 580 and 35 cents, right? And by the way, I hope you're short, my man. Loving it. Loving it. This is important right now, what's going on. I should be addressing what's going on right now, but I want to just walk you through it because it's live. I'm not in it. I just covered my short, and now it's rolling back over, which is kind of cool. I'm glad my members are short right now, and now it's getting exciting. I don't want to get excited, but I'm excited for you because they just reshorted it, and they're getting paid. Same exact trade we did earlier. See how it broke down, and then it went back to test the pivot. Now what are you doing there, friend? You got to cover. But if it breaks the low here, now you could expect it to go testing pre-market lows. And let me tell you something. As psychotically bullish as I've been, if we do break pre-market lows, that's something we haven't seen since 2 weeks ago. And before the 2 weeks ago sell-off that we had on Friday, remember that one 2 weeks ago? Before that, we hadn't had a sell-off since, I think it was May 5th. Which is insane. But because, again, when you say the market's due for a correction, it certainly is. But, man, you got to be really cautious trying to get in its way. And that's why we just play it for what it is. You want to short stocks? Well, you better be doing it around prior day VWAP and VWAP. See how it got rejected at the prior day? Then it rolled over. But now you're right back to where the covering happened before. So you have to take some profit here if you're short. And then now you use the blue line and the orange line as your out. So every trade that we put on, every time we put a trade on, we know why we're getting in and what the risk parameter is and where the rewards are waiting. Well, I'm going to walk you through this trade once more before we could address what's happening now. My default was to crush the shorts because we sold off on economic data. Generally, we correct it, right? Got the VWAP, got the faux show, bro, got to the orange line. Look how wonderful that trade is. That was a nice 178 entry. 578 to 580 and change. And what was really nice about it is that once we sold the orange line, then we used the blue line as our stop on whatever we had left. And then we actually made a little bit more money on the trade. Then it rolled over. We wound up selling the long right here. And that's where we were crazy enough to entertain this idea that, hey, maybe we go short. Because you're breaking back below prior day VWAP, which is bearish, and you could identify your trade, and this is what the Minotaur did, and this is the trade I was involved in. We shorted it here at 580, spot 31, and we used the pivot point right there, the 89, and the high of the day. If we're wrong, we have to cover here and the rest there. You don't want to let a stock break new highs with you being short. And look how this is playing out. So that same trade, and again, I'm not involved this time. I wish I was. And if I were, I'd be covering at least 50% right here because that's how you stay viable. That's how you stay in this industry. You make profit, take some of it. You don't take it all because you're thinking, hey, this could be the big one, right? That's what the Minotaur is thinking right now. That's why any shorter right now in the Qs, what are you thinking? What do they think? What do you think they're thinking? They're thinking, this is it. This is the top. Bull market just ended. Seasonality is about to hit. And I'm with you. I think seasonality is going to hit next week. I don't think it was going to happen today. Or I think we're actually going to go down on Monday, the 18th. We had a projected sell-off from our algorithm from April that gave us April 18th. And I'm sticking to it. I think what we're seeing these last couple of days is we're running out of steam, but the market's still not ready to roll over. We need to start breaking prior lows. And let me show you some more data. So right now you're looking at the 1 minute and the 1 day, right? So if you look at a few more days worth of data, right, there's the 2 day. That's 2 days worth of VWAP. Here's 3. We're still above the 3. There is no panic. So the 4 day VWAP, right? That's what we hit earlier, right? And as long as there's multiple time frame VWAPs, and what I have done is I've programmed my VWAP to anchor itself. So you heard anchored VWAP, I anchor it myself. So my program anchors the VWAP to the amount of days that I wanted to look at. And what I have found since 2012, using this exclusively, is that the stocks tend to live within 5 days of VWAP. When you get through 5 days, that's when you are having a bigger, you should anticipate a bigger move. But right now, you see how the market just keeps finding love, and you see how hard of a trade it is to be short. If it's this hard, the market's trying to tell you, we don't want to go down. That doesn't mean you can't make your money, right? Shorting from 580 to 578, still 2 points, can't take it from you, but you can lose it by not getting out of some of the position. And that's why we always sell on the way up when we're long, and never, ever forget this. You have to cover on the way down because the market never stays down anymore. So shorting is short-lived, and you're going to die. Don't forget it, right? Look at this candle, right? How do the shorters look? Oh, man, I really thought we were onto something there. Oh, man. Oh, man. Yeah, oh, man. And you know what's going to happen when it breaks back over the VWAP? All that all manning? Yeah, they're going to have to eat it. So, again, I didn't join in on this one because I don't really trust any move that goes on at 12 o'clock. Usually we get some meandering. But what the takeaway from today's action is, that low print, where's my friend Eric? That low print today might be new generational lows. Because if you haven't noticed, 2025, the year 2025, every pullback becomes a brand new low that starts a new bull market. So until that trend stops happening, I have to think that today's lows now are going to be the new lows for all of eternity. And now I hope I'm wrong. And I hope Monday pans out exactly the way we think it's going to pan out. I think we're going to gap on Monday. And what you see here, the rollover, we are going to break prior lows. And we are going to break prior lows. And that's going to beget more selling. And then what happens when selling begets more selling? Then a little fear creeps in. You take a look at the VIX products, right? The VIX still very complacent. VIX popping up at 16 again. You see the VIX at 18, 19. As the market's going down, that confirms that this is a real sell-off. This, right now, it's a fart in the wind. Squadoosh. Can you make money on it? You sure can. So let me go show you the other trade that today was the 1,070th in a row. And if you heard me yesterday, we were at 1,068. We only had 2 of them today, so we're at 1,070. If you heard me talking a month ago, we were at 983. We've had about 40 or 50 trades so far in a row that have worked. This setup works. And I know it sounds silly. That's why I always, what's the word? I always, not confirm. I always, I don't know what I'm thinking, but I always say that one day it's going to change, right? Today wasn't that day. So if you came in just like the market, right, and you saw Cisco, right? Everybody loves them some Cisco. Guy's been around trading since Cisco. I was there when this thing went public. That's how old I am. That's right. Oh, no, wait. Cisco was already public. No, maybe I was there for the IPO. No, I think they IPO'd in 88 and 92. I might be thinking Qualcomm. Yeah, regardless. I came in this morning and I saw Cisco was getting hammered on earnings from last night, right? It got hammered. It came back this morning, back to being hammered, but not below yesterday's reaction lows. So that's mildly bullish already. But then I just go back to my default. And the checklist is, did they report earnings? Yes. Is it below VWAP at the open? Yes. Is it breaking VWAP? Yes. Buy it. Buy it. Sorry to make it sound so easy, because sometimes it is. So you got your fake out, breaks the low. That's your little shakeout. It's subtle, but it did break a new low. Then it came back, fake out, shakeout, VWAP break on an earnings report. That's gap down. You have to buy it. That's our default. We are robots. Did the stock report earnings? Did it faux show, bro? Is it breaking VWAP? Must buy it. Right? And again, let's talk about it. If you're buying the VWAP break at $68.15, the bottom of the candle, the bottoms of these candles are your outs. So that's how you identify your risk. I'm buying 1,000 shares at 68.13 or 68.15. 500 shares stop at 67.57. And the other 500 would be at 67.48. And now your reward, the fun part, was that we expected the stock to go to $70.78. Damn it. We missed it by 15 cents. But lest you forgot the way we trade, you bought a stock here at 68 bucks. By 69, sold. When it gets back to the pivot point, we're selling some more there. Sold. Then it goes to 7. Then it goes to the pre-market pivot point. Sold. So by the time it's here, if you started with 1,000 shares, I'm down to the 300. I'm only down to 300 shares already. And now I could dream. And so now by this point, I'm pretty much almost done with the trade. We're talking about 3 minutes. 3 minutes of awesomeness. Kind of like my sex life. Oh, and it's only like a minute and a half. But you got a day's pay. And that's why we're here. Right? So then it chops down, and I'm like, all right, I don't like that, but I'm going to hang in there. If it breaks the VWAP, I'll sell the rest. And then it starts to rally. And then right there, I was like, all right, we're definitely going through the green. This is going to be awesome. And then it rolled over, which was disappointing. And we just sold it when it broke back below that big fat hole number at 70. And it was pretty damn good. And that was, again, it was, for me, it was the QQQ and Cisco. Now, for my extra special trick, right? Every morning, there's at least 3 or 4 pump and dumps. And I am, if you don't know, my secret identity. Let me unveil it. I hope I don't blow anybody's eardrums out. Hold on a second. This might hurt. I forget if I think because I got 2 things running, sometimes I get feedback. I'll be careful. Hold on. My secret identity, because people want to know how I know where all these weird $2 stocks that go to 5 come from. I am Scanman. Scanman needs a dentist. Yes, I know. I'll be going to the dentist on Monday. Gonna get some whitener or something. So Scanman this morning found us 2 ridiculous names. And one of the names was, it was so comical that it just felt so good that we made money on it. So yesterday we traded a stock, and if you were with us, you know about it. ATNF. What? You guys were involved in this one, right? ATNF? Yes, you were. Right? if you guys don't know, ATNF apparently had some of the, the cryptocurrency we're using as treasury bullshit news that every stock's talking about now. You mentioned something about Bitcoin. The stock goes underdog. You named it. You nailed it. So this was yesterday. And again, classic pump and dump, right? Got pumped $4 to 12. The next morning, it's gapped up to 19, and that's all she wrote. And down she goes, probably back to 0. There's always one. Actually, there's been 3 a day lately. So my scanners, freaking scanners. This scanner, right? Can't show it to you. It's private. And then this one over here. Whoa, look at that one. Hey. What those do, they just search for percentage gains and massive volume. Great combination. Percentage gainers, that's how you find these 50-cent, $2 stocks. But more importantly, you want to know, you could have a $2 stock up $1 with 9 shares traded on it. You don't want to go near that. You want to see the one where people are trading 20,000, 50,000, 100,000 share blocks of it. So I got a scanner that looks for that. So I need a percentage gainer. And then I look at what the chart's telling me. So today's candidate was, now here's where the joke came in. Yesterday, we were trading 180 life sciences, which made a complete U-turn. Jokes write themselves, baby. I'll be here all week. Don't forget to tip your bartenders. It made a 180. But today, I woke up, and the first stock I saw was XPON. And the name of the company was XPON 360. Are you kidding me? So yesterday we're trading the 180. Today we're going full 360. So I figured, hey, this one's got to go up at least 100%. You gotta be freaking kidding me. By the way, all the red lines are where we traded the stock. Just an absurd morning. Let me clear it up for you. I'll show you what we did. And you see, if you could guess right now, and I want you to do this, and if you are free tonight, we're going to be doing, let me stop what we're doing right now. Tonight, we got a special guest. She doesn't like me telling people that she's Mensa, but she's Mensa. You know what Mensa is? Yeah, smart people. She's like a super genius, right? And she's a friend of the family. She called me. She says, I got something I want to show you. And she's talking to me and trying to explain this thing that she built. It's kind of like a Bloomberg terminal, AI Bloomberg terminal for lawyers to help prepare their something. Again, it went over my head. But as she's talking, she's using words that I don't even know. And she's explaining the concepts. She's like, she says, you look confused. I'm like, she's like, what part of the, what, you know? I was like, no, you just used like 2 words I don't even know. I was like, you're just way too smart for me. I know how to trade, but that's pretty much all I know how to do. Ask my wife. I am not the smartest guy. So I was like, stop what you're doing. This sounds amazing. And if it does what you're describing and it could help change an industry as the buzzword of today is disruptive, she could disrupt the whole industry with this product. And I'm going to have her on the schmooze tonight, and I'm just going to let her take the floor, show off her product, talk about the website that she built, because I do really think she's going to eventually go public with this thing. I want to be involved. I do. And the more people I introduce her to, the better. So if you guys are around tonight, that's our special guest on the schmooze. If you don't know what the schmooze is, me and my partner, Solid Jello, real name. During COVID, we obviously had nowhere to go, and we like drinking. So Thursday nights we drink and start crunching charts and prepare for those new weekly options that were just created. And caught on. We had a couple hundred people. One night I invited a group of people for some website. I think the whole entire country of Ukraine showed up and they crashed my website. No joke, like 6,000 people tried to get in that night and just crashed the website. But normally it's a couple of hundred people, just us knuckleheads. We drink still and some other activities, and we crunch some charts. But now I'll bring the guest on and she'll do her thing. And we prepare for what I think is going to happen tomorrow, which tonight should be a really great conversation because we are starting to see some sellers. We're coming to the end of earnings season, and there's always a couple of companies that report. So we'll get into more some faux show bros and all that. All right, so let's go back to this one, right? So just maybe you've just met me and you know all I trade is VWAP and prior day VWAP. And I trade this thing called the faux show bro, right? So when you see these pump and dumps, right? I don't know if you guys are on stock twits or Twitter or you get emails. It's always the same thing. The stock's up 400, whatever. What's it up now? Stock's up 193%. If I check my spam folder right now, at least 8 people will tell me that they knew about this stock before anybody else. They got their people involved, blah, 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 blah. You don't got to be the first one in. You don't got to be the second one in. You don't got to be the third one in, the fourth one in. I was the 18th person in, and it was fine because I trade only technical analysis. I don't care what XPON does. I don't even look at the news, right? I got to laugh at the company's name with a 360 in it, consider I traded the 180 yesterday. And I like your thing. Now we should be looking for something with 720 in the name, right? Exactly. That's funny. But what I do trade and what I do, and if you do, what movie? You better know that or we're not going to be friends now. And if you do, it's Big Al's favorite movie. Good Morning Vietnam. Anyone? Come on. And if you do, so I saw the stock on the scanner and I was like, man, this thing's on fire. Right. And then I just happened to be getting out of bed. First chart I looked at is I saw the stock ripping by on CNBC. I saw it. I pulled up as soon as I opened up my screen. This thing's on my scanner, and I just caught it right there because I was like, oh, it just faux showed at prior day VWAP, and now it's breaking VWAP. And look at that candle. You think I was the only one in? No. Look at the volume surge right through the blue line. And then it comes back to test the blue line from on top. And I'm thinking, hey, we got ourselves a winner here. Because if we would have broke down and broke back below the candle, I would have had to sell. And then I would have had to sell there because that's what I do. If I'm wrong, and if you're taking notes is a good one, it's okay to be wrong. Just don't stay wrong. So if I would have bought it here on the VWAP, and I bought 295. So 295, the bottom of the candle is 85. Prior candle is 78. That's where I would have sold and eaten it if it would have rolled over. But it tested it. Hey, what's up, man? And next thing you know, you got yourself a consolidation break. And, I'm no crazy person. Well, then again, I am, but I'm not crazy when it comes to the money. I'm in a stock at 295. What do you think I'm doing? I'm selling into this move. I sold some at 312. Remember, 1/8 of a point, right? Remember 1/8 of a point? 3 1/8, 325, 3 3 3/8. I still trade like that. So if I'm in a $2 stock, I'm not thinking it's going to $20. I'm still thinking these are $3 stocks. I got 1,000 shares. You know what? I'm selling 200 shares at 312. I'm selling 200 at 3 1/4. And then I'm going to see what happens next. And then it busts out. What do you think I'm doing at 350? 200, gone. So now I only got 300 shares left. Rippage to $4. And when it didn't break 4 and starts to tank, I sold it at 375. Done. Then look what happens. The thing tanks. Well, first, I'll tell the whole story. It rug pulls it. So it finally breaks the 4 just to rug pull you at the beginning of the day, just crushing everybody. Just nasty. Gets over the 4, finally gets over the 4, only to rug pull you all the way back down to where I started selling in the first place. And then what happened? Faux show back above the VWAP. We're in. We bought it back right there using prior low candles as our out. Because, well, what most traders look at when they're buying a stock, they look at where it came from and think that's their risk. I ain't buying it up at 335. This thing could go back to $1.85. Sure can. Sure can. Not with you in it. That's for the suckers. You put your stops at proper places. So when people say, oh man, I ain't buying this over here, it could go back to 185. Yeah, of course it can, but not with you in it. You'll be out taking the 8-cent, 12-cent loss. That's what's beautiful about the VWAP and the way we trade around the Faux Show Bro. And, I sold into the move. I wish I was still part of it. I joined in late because I was pissed off. I bought some at 5 and I was nervous buying it at 5. I sold it quickly for like a 10-cent profit. And look how it went to 550. Right? 550. And at 550, you're not thinking it's going to roll over and die, but that's how you trade technical analysis. Once it broke back below where it broke out from, you have to sell. And you see how that big candle is right there? That's the smart money getting the fudge out of there. Then we saw another shiny object going by. And this was actually a lot of fun because we had some Tribe Called Quest going. You guys like Tribe? Uh-oh, hang on. My Coinbase account has been hacked. My withdrawal code is 179875. Do not share this with anybody. Are you guys hacking my account for the 500,000th time this week? Damn. By the way, those are spam emails, spam texts, right? Everything's a scam, right? My daughter got scammed. I can't believe it. She got a call, or I don't know how they infiltrated this group chat that she was in, but somebody was selling a parking pass. I'm like, it's fake. It's fake. No one's selling you a $500 parking pass for $250. Nobody's doing that. Oh, sounds like it. She's in a sorority. I'm like, no. If you don't see her or this person in the flesh and know where she lives and get her blood type and her mom's maiden name, she's not a real person. No, but this time, no, I think you're wrong. Okay, good. Yeah, send it to 250. You'll never see that parking pass, and I'll have to say I told you so. And guess what? I was right. So my daughter got scammed out of $250. Then again, I got scammed out of $250 but now she knows. And my daughter, as smart as she is, she's now been stolen from and robbed and scammed. So that's why she didn't grow up in Brooklyn. So she thought that she'd be able to put her bag down at a fraternity party and nobody would go through her shit. Who is this person? I was like, where did you learn to trust people? I've been your father since you've been born. And then she gets scammed out of this parking pass. All right, anyway. The Tribe. So again, right? This one I missed completely because I didn't see it. Look at this rip from $1 all the way up to $2.50, right? Sick. But then, where do we come in? VWAPian traders. We see a little Faux Show Bro fake out, shake out, and then it breaks the VWAP. Hey, what is this? I don't know. Buy it. So we bought it at 187. Rip. 225. Sold. Thing goes to almost 250. Starts to plummet. Sold it at 2.25 on the way back down. But then look what happened. Thing rips to $3. I'm all pissed off. And then it comes and plummets again, but it holds the VWAP. So there's the fake out, shakeout area. We bought it again. And when we started playing some Tribe Called Quest, which I still have going in the background. Yeah, that's right. Tribe Called Quest, represent. Right? We had some Can I Kick It? We're jamming and we're ripping. And at 344, we ain't thinking this thing's about to stop. And then it rolls over and dies. And we're forced to sell it basically at, 3.25 and $3. And we're out. So now, can I kick it? You see this stock? It's right back to where we had it originally. So now I'm mildly interested because, sometimes these pumps get pumped again. But generally not. But I will keep an eye on it. And right now, this market is basically just digesting this monstrous bull market, unprecedented, and I'll say that word. This is an unprecedented move because I don't think anybody has seen the ferociousness of this. If you guys don't know, I mean, obviously you do. This is insane. We've just rallied from 398 to 585 with no remorse. I mean, if you want to use the word, we're due for a correction. Holy crap, certainly are. And when it happens, it's going to be a doozy. But then what? We're going to consolidate that move and inevitably go higher. But we'll talk more about this tonight, the levels where I think we're going to sell off, because I do think it's coming. And here's the I'm going to wrap this up early today, I think, because I want to chill out and prepare for tonight. If this market ever sells off, right? Like I said, it's going to be a doozy, but it probably won't really stay down. Seasonality. That's all the bears got left now. Complacency hasn't worked. Obviously, the dash for trash, we see trashy stocks ripping every day. That doesn't work. Complacency, bullish complacency used to be bearish. A weak VIX, a complacent VIX counterintuitively actually implies that it's a little bearish. There's a point where that becomes bearish. A couple of weeks ago, we were selling stocks that were gapped on earnings and they were getting sold off. That's bearish. So I've seen all the bearish signs that normally translate into a market that begins to correct or has a few down days, and none of it has taken root. So the only thing left now is Jeff Hirsch and the Stock Traders Almanac and seasonality, because around August 18th, which is next Monday, we begin what is notoriously the weakest part of the year. And considering we've had the biggest bull market move in the history of mankind. And listen, I've been around 1999. This dwarfs I've seen the market double, but it was like in 18 months. We just rallied basically 398 to 583. You're telling me we can't correct 40 points to test that breakout area? This is kind of what I think. I think when we do get this correction, we're going to correct down to the triple top new high that we broke. I think that's where we need to pull back. Dare I use the word hope? I hope it happens, because I'm prepared. And I'll show you what we're going to be looking at. So today's, again, the orange line is today's VWAP. The 5-day VWAP really is something, again, if you break through 5, that usually means we're about to change trend. But then I like looking at multiple time frames, like 10 days worth of VWAP. Let's go take a look at 20 days worth of VWAP, right? And you start getting into that last pullback area from 2 Fridays ago, when I thought that was going to be the one that gets us down to the 540, and nope, we rallied 30 points in my face. Just crazy. So now that's what we got to do. So when we start to sell off, I'm not going to guess, right? I'm not going to guess, because guessing, you lose. So when we start to actually sell off through some of these levels, I'm going to get aggressively short. And I think easily we're getting down to the 565. If we break through the 565, that's when we'll get some fear. And there's the 3-month. That's where I think we're going to go. So if anybody is in this market needs to correct, when the hell is it going to happen? I don't know when it's going to happen. Hopefully it happens on Monday and Tuesday, which is what we were predicting 3 months ago. If it works out like that, fantastic. But if we do gap up and that gap gets sold off like we did yesterday was a kind of a day where normally we follow through to the downside big, because it broke new highs and then it rolled over. We broke back under the VWAP. We went to the prior day, but once again, it held. It just keeps holding, and we don't go down. And that's my story. And I'm going to stick to it until something changes. And when it changes, you will definitely know the difference. You'll feel the difference. Right now, this is what I call the Terminator market. Remember, the Terminator can't self-terminate, so it shuts off and heals. That's what the market's doing right now. It refuses to terminate. It refuses to go down, so it just slows down and bores everybody. And then in that slowish consolidation, inevitably we break out to the upside. And that's why it's a very difficult endeavor to be a shorter right now. That's why I'm not doing it too much. But it'll come. It'll come. So like I was saying, the reason I'm bringing that up is that we're going into the seasonal time where selling actually does happen. And you're starting to see it right now. And then I also hearken back to my mentor who says when the market turns around, it's still actually going up. He said, think of the market as an oil tanker. An oil tanker can't make a right turn and then another right turn. It has to go up first. And its big ass, the bow, where's the bow stern? I forget which one is which. The back of the boat is still kind of going up, even though the front of the boat's turning. So that's kind of what we might be in right now. And then once we get the turn and we get that momentum to the downside, then you'll get that, 12.5. Oh, I hope it's 12.5%. That'd be sick. Even a 3.5%. I'd welcome any selling. I would welcome some volatility because I like being able to go short, go long, and then go short all in the same day. It's fun. It keeps us, trading exciting. And considering I have no life and I have no friends and I basically sit here all day, give me something to do. And that's my story. So email me right now, kennyglick@aol.com. We'll get together. We'll see what this software is all about. And again, if you are out there and you've got more than 880 on your SAT, shh, I cheated. I got an 1180 after I cheated, but I think I really broke. I think I got a 920 on my SAT. Yeah, I wasn't the best student. I was an embarrassment to my dad, who was like a professor. Anyway, what was my point? Oh, yeah. Come join us tonight. We'll have some fun. I'll show you some charts. And then if you are joining us for Saturday, I'm going to do a lot more of what we're doing here without being distracted by the market. And then I think Saturday will be great because I'm going to show you how to prepare for what I think might happen on the downside. I'll teach you a little bit about the faux show, bro, 1 minute multi-day VWAP reversal. And if you do join our merry band of psychotics and degenerates, I will bestow my chart, the chart that I've been using since 2012. I haven't changed a thing. So I will give you the blue line and the orange line, which is, we used to sell for $3,000 back in the day. Now you just get it as part of our family. And you'll see how I just use these two lines to do every trade that I ever do. And then I'll show you where I draw the red lines and maybe change the way that you trade for the better, or at least help you. Every little bit of knowledge that you pick up in this industry is good, as my career is a shining beacon of that. I have consistently found new things to improve with what I do. And even with VWAP. Now, again, I don't use it as much as I probably should. Volume profile, that's what Vaz does. If you know Vaz, everybody loves Vaz. She does a volume profile. We've got also our friends over at Trade Pulse, which scans for institutional buy-side order flow, which basically is VWAP. So you could add a couple of bells and whistles to what I do, but generally it's all volume-based, all price-based. And in this market, sometimes it's just buying a silly name of a company like USAR, right? How awesome was that stock for the last couple of days? And I still love it. If anybody, again, if anybody's swinging it, you got close to 20. That was the plan. And let me tell you, I'll tell you more about this one tonight. But this thing has been pump, dump, pump, bump, bump, boop, beep, bop, boop, beep, beep, boop. It's like 8 different pump and dumps. And it almost broke its all-time high. So now we got the pump. Expect there to be some dumpage. It's a very volatile stock. We got the 1950, pulls back to 16 and change. Perfect. Consolidates between 15 and 1750, and then makes another turn. And I'm telling you, when this stock breaks 20, stop what you're doing and buy it, because this many pump and dumps, man, the shorts are probably still in there. They ain't going to like it when it breaks all-time highs through that big fat number 20. So, and I hope this happens tomorrow, because this thing now has weekly options and they're freaking cheap, real cheap. Real good, Warriors. Real good. You got a stock that easily moves a buck or two a day, and the options are priced like this thing doesn't move. Amazing. So if this thing starts ripping tomorrow, look at the 1750s, the 18s, and maybe the $20 lotto plays. These are the cheapest options on a stock that's pretty damn volatile that I've seen in a very long time. Very, very inexpensive options. Love it. And we crushed it on it last week. So listen, I got 9 minutes. I got nowhere to be. You got any stocks you want me to look at? I'll VWAP them for you. By the way, full disclosure, I sold my Palantir stock yesterday. I only have 2 contracts, $95 puts sold for next March. I'm out of Palantir now for the first time in a very long time. I feel naked without you. But loving me some SRAD. Hopefully you guys bought it. New all-time highs. The one thing I don't like about it, Kramer likes it now, and it got upgraded by 3 different analysts. I don't like when people like my stock. I like when people are talking negatively about it and it still goes up. Now, I don't want it to be a bandwagon stock. I don't want people to know about this stock. You guys know about it, right? I gave it to you last month, 2 months ago. Data collection, data analytics for gambling websites. And if you don't have a young kid, everybody's gambling. Everybody's got DraftKings. Everybody has FanDuel. Every kid in college has got a gambling website. For good or for worse, I got my kid under control. He knows, he's got to stop doing the UFC parlays because they never hit. He hit one, $20 turned into like $700. I'm sure he's giving back the $700 because parlays that's how bookies make their money, because it's hard enough to get to one thing right. Trying to package it together with 3 or 4, it's virtually impossible. But this company, they go around the world collecting data from sporting events and control basically the live gambling that's on your FanDuel and your DraftKings and all that stuff. And they can't lose because that's what they do. It's not about betting and, bookies and all that stuff. So, and again, I'm not trying to be funny there. I don't like the fact that it was upgraded. I don't like buying stocks because they're getting upgraded. I like seeing them downgraded and then going green that day. By the way, I did hit a parlay yesterday. Thank you very much. I had the picture on the Twins over 6.5 strikeouts, and I had Twins to win. So yeah, I hit one yesterday. Again, I'm a degenerate, but that one made a lot of sense because the Yankees don't do well against people who actually know how to pitch. The Yankees suck, and I just got against them almost every game. And the Twins were finally due to win a game, and they had their best pitcher going, so I hit it. So what you got? DNA? Not the same DNA from the 90s. Is this company? They used to do stem cell research. Is this the same company? Can't be, right? What's the name of the company? DNA. I used to trade this like 1997. No, definitely not the same company. But that actually looks pretty damn amazing. And look at the price. Apparently, I must have traded it down there. Look how it held that big fat 5. You got over the yearly. This looks great, actually, because now if you're still long or swinging it, you got to dump here. You're in a slight little downtrend, lower high, lower high, lower high. So if it breaks down, you probably got to sell it at 1150, but it doesn't look too bad. And let's see on the, and if it's just for today, I'd rather be long than short. You just held prior day VWAP back above today's VWAP. Not a lot of volume, so it's hard to tell. Only 1 million shares on it. Doesn't look too bad. Speaking of DNA, what a weird coincidence. The biotech I've been watching is NVAX. Huge volume came into it a couple of days ago, and since that day, look at that. Something's up. This stock stinks. And I like when stinky stocks come back. This one, something's up. Something's up. Somebody knows something. I don't know. Coming out of the little faux show, bro. I saw some monstrous volume coming in around $8 the other day. I didn't really pay too much attention to it because the stock's it's just garbage. But you just broke this bottom range. So keep an eye on this one. Actually, keep an eye on this one for the today and the next day, because if it can get something going, you got some really cheap options on this also, because the stock's been dead for so long. You're talking about, look at this, you're paying 10 cents premium for the 9s. That's not bad. But we'll talk more about this stuff. CoreWeave, well, they broke the stock, right? They did a good job. They broke it, right? So you got to now wait to see if it breaks down, because you're at a really, 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 really dangerous spot, right? So right there, that's the $97 spot right there. See that print right there? That's 97. Stretch it out, way out. And by the way, I thought this stock would show some life today on the upside, and I was wrong. And yeah, it's nasty. This thing was about to break to all-time highs, and they shoved that another offering in your face. If it breaks those recent lows, you're going to be searching for 97. And if it breaks 97, just like on the way up, 50 gets you 80, 80 gets you 120, 120 got you 180 on this one. Yeah. 120 got you 150, 150 gets you 180. It's going to be the same thing on the way down. So it's pretty nasty. Yeah, I'd be afraid. I definitely wouldn't let this thing, if you're swinging it, no way you're letting it break 97. But if it breaks 97 and you're waiting to buy it, $80. I'll buy it with you at 80. Ooh, Viking Therapeutics. That's VKTX, right? VKTX. Bang. I'd have to be a seller if you're swinging it, because you just got a perfect trade. That's a 1-year VWAP retrace after a faux show bro $20 move for 100%. That's fantastic. But if you're swinging it, you should hold on to it unless it breaks back below where it came from, which is kind of right here. You got a double top break, almost a triple top. That's around 36 and change. If you're swinging it, you got to let this one breathe, because if it consolidates between this 40 and the 36, the next leg up gets you to that 47 area. Yeah, Q's are green. Yeah, never go down. Minotaur, you get out of that short. See, every move to the downside is met with an equal or greater move to the upside. This is why if I'm going to participate, I'm going to be very nimble. And I hope you covered your short, friend. I will be recording Saturday's session. Yes. The Blush IPO, I almost got my ass kicked in it. Yeah, I was about to buy it yesterday. No, I missed it. Yeah, I missed it. And then by the time I even had a chance to think about buying it, it got annihilated. So this is important. And this is really important, because this stock, it opened up about 80. We figured it's going to go to 120. It got to 118. Got halted on the way there. Then it breaks VWAP, rolls over, and then look where it went. 80. Exactly 80, because that's how the market's programmed. 50 gets you 80, 80 gets you 120. So now that it broke 80, that's terrible, first of all. And some of us traded it today because when it broke 80, it's important, right? You had a faux show, bro, VWAP break, and then it broke the 80. Some of us traded it. I didn't trade it. But, and then it rolled over and died, because most IPOs are just, the golden parachute for the CEOs who are selling it. And if you think the insiders can't sell an IPO, go watch The Wolf of Wall Street. Sure they can. That's why their idiot nephews that don't have jobs are living in the Bahamas, so they could short the stock and get their rich daddy or rich uncle out of the stock without anybody knowing. That's how it happens. All right. I'll see you guys tonight. Don't forget to email me. I got some free stuff for you. Somebody's getting this coin. I got 2 free books. You guys that read the So's Bandits, or the book about failed traders, good books. I got some PDFs for you, and we'll have a gay old time. If you're into that. What? And remember, kids, you're not gay if you don't push back. Okay, that's my time. Don't forget to tip your bartenders. And if you're drinking, don't drive. If you're driving, don't drink. I'll see you tonight. Bring your own beer.